Capcom just did the unthinkable. They sent us back to the ruins of Raccoon City, gave us an aging Leon Kennedy, and then, well, they took away our safety nets. Resident Evil 9 Requiem is finally here, and after 20 hours of survival horror that I've personally gone through, I can tell you, the franchise will never be the same. Is it a Game of the Year masterpiece, or did Capcom finally jump the shark? Strangers of distant lands, friends of old, welcome. I'm Accursed Shadow, and today we'll be deep diving into this review that is Resident Evil 9. This review might be longer than expected, so grab your drinks, folks, your popcorn, turn that volume up a little bit, and get cozy and comfy, cause this will be my finest work yet. As always, we'll kick it off with what I consider to be the most important aspect in any review, the gameplay. And right off the bat, we'll get rid of the elephant in the room, which is the dual protagonist system. You first start off as Grace Ashcroft. Grace has some horrendous past that she still hasn't dealt with, hence the fact that our girl is suffering from anxiety and she really gets nervous pretty easily. And to top it all off, she's pretty shy from what I've gathered throughout my first gameplay. When playing as her, be prepared to hear loads of moaning and screams, not the ones you're thinking of, you pervert. Her shyness and anxiety does reflect in the game as she is shaking her hands like there's no tomorrow when she keeps her gun pointed at the zombies. A crucial small detail that we'll be covering in a new section that I have today as a premiere, the details section. Anyways, moving on, as you progress with her throughout the story, you'll come across a few tools that you can add to your arsenal. But by far, the most important is the blood extractor. With this shiny new toy, you can extract infected zombie blood from deceased zombies or from other variety of places such as buckets or bathtubs filled with infected blood. Once you have gathered enough blood, you can use it to craft some new ammo for your guns, a hemolytic injector, which is a one-use tool to sneak up on zombies and one-shot them from behind by injecting it into them, or craft makeshift knives and other items that I'm not gonna spoil for you guys. It's a really awesome mechanic added in Resident Evil 9 that I found myself praising it throughout the whole game while I played as Grace. Now the game does put pressure on the player by having resources really scarce across your gameplay, and it emphasizes the player to be really cautious when using each resource. For instance, let's say you've managed to defeat a few zombies. When you do have a hemolytic injector in your inventory, if you approach a deceased zombie, you'll be prompted if you want to use your injector on the bodies. Why would you want to use that injector on the deceased zombie if you smothered him into oblivion with bullets, you ask? Well, mainly because after a certain point in the story, some of those deceased zombies come back to life as blister heads, the game's most annoying enemies that you'll have to deal with. I've died to those guys more often than I could count in my playthrough, and now that I think back, I could have used those hemolytic injectors on the deceased zombies more often instead of hoarding them into my inventory. The game does have that certain gift, so to speak, to get you to be really careful of not wasting your resources throughout the game. But if you don't waste them properly, like passing up the opportunity to blow up a zombie with your injector, you'll come to find that you will be sorry later on. The game gives you a choice, and how you manage your resources dictates your survival. Leon, on the other hand, is the complete opposite of Grace. The way I see it, it goes from this
Who's there? What do I do?
to this. or this.
You wanna play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend. Okay. You wanna play rough? Okay. Yeah. Okay. You like that? Huh? You want more? Right. Okay. Your horse?
As we've come to know him throughout the franchise, this time around he's more aggressive than before. Think of him as he had lessons from John Wick himself in this game.
Yeah.
That's how badass he is. Roundhouse kicking zombies? Check. Using the environment to finish them off? Check. Putting a shotgun through their mouths and blasting their brains into a million pieces? Double check. Leon has it all in this one. If you thought playing him in the previous remake of Resident Evil 4, prepare yourself to be pleasantly surprised. Apart from all the coolness mentioned above, he has a shit ton of weapons in this game. Not from the get-go, mind you, but you can acquire so many goddamn weapons by progressing throughout the story, so much so that you could start literally World War III. His signature weapon this time around being the hatchet. That's right. He ditched the knife from previous games and now he has this badass hatchet that he uses either to finish off zombies or as a melee weapon. Now this hatchet can dull from either swinging it into the enemies too much or parrying their attacks. When this happens, like a total badass that he is, Leon whips out this whetstone to sharpen his hatchet and make it like brand new. You can sharpen your hatchet as many times as you like, as he'll never run out of that sweet whetstone that he carries around. All in all, this whole process, I just like to call it reloading the hatchet. Unlike Grace, you have a massive amount of space in your inventory from the get-go, so you can store those weapons without worrying about your space getting filled up. Grace, on the other hand, has to find pouches scattered throughout the game to upgrade her inventory, whereas Leon, you get the maximum inventory in terms of space from the very start. Later in the story, when playing as Leon, you'll come to find a bracelet. With this so-called bracelet, you can upgrade Leon's arsenal, such as the guns he holds, his armor, and buy even more weapons exclusively from his supply boxes. The bracelet acts like a tracking mechanism for all the enemies you kill in the game, thus rewarding you with credits, the currency used to buy and upgrade Leon's gear, unlike the traditional merchant in Resident Evil 4 or Duke from Resident Evil Village. The enemies in the game aren't that many like other Resident Evil games. The variety isn't that big in this one, but did I find myself complaining? Not at all. The amount of enemies that are in this game are way more than enough to keep my perspective fresh and me on my toes for that matter. You do have the girl that chases Grace around, as well as the butcher and that big fat ass called Chunk as your so-called special enemies, alongside with your regular zombies, blister heads, and others that I'm not gonna spoil for you guys. Although the game starts off with Grace in first person to engulf the player in the horror aspect of the game, and Leon in third person to underline the action of it, this can be totally changed from the menu. I myself had my first playthrough exactly as the game wanted me to play it. On my second playthrough though, I'll be definitely switching Grace's camera to third-person view, as I come to find out that this offers a somewhat fresh perspective on the game, making it more visual by getting to see Grace's facial expressions and thus emphasizing the horror more that she goes through. Let's talk about replayability. As of writing this review, I just started my second playthrough of this polished diamond that is Resident Evil 9. Boy, let me tell you that you have loads of reasons for replaying this game. Reasons like bonus content, costumes, finding every lore there is in the game. But the most guilty pleasure that I found myself playing this game again is so that I can unlock the sweet infinite ammo in the game. I truly want to shoot the living shit out of the zombies without worrying about the ammo. This, for me, is reason enough to replay the game on the highest difficulty. Puzzles in this game are not that hard to solve like previous Resident Evil games, but then again, I found this to be a good thing, as it didn't disrupt the flow of the game like other Resident Evil games did in the past. I think that the puzzles are just right this time around. Speaking of the flow of the game, when switching between Grace and Leon, I didn't find myself dragging too much with one character more than the other. No, the game switches your characters, in my opinion, at the exact moment, so much so that you don't get bored of either of them. This made the gameplay of both characters to be that much more satisfying, and I really loved it. I think I've mentioned everything that I've experienced within the gameplay aspect, and thus I'm gonna rate it a solid 10 out of 10. There's not a single thing that I found myself not to enjoy in the gameplay of Resident Evil Requiem. Moving on to the aspect number 2 of the game, difficulty. Resident Evil 9 Requiem isn't just a game, it's a test of your patience and your heart rate. Capcom has officially split the DNA of the series, and the difficulty you choose fundamentally changes what game you're playing. We have the casual difficulty for the story seekers out there. Basically, this option lets you focus on the story itself rather than the actual adrenaline rush you would have if you'd played on a higher difficulty. Then we have the standard difficulty, but with a twist. This mode has 2 options. First, there's the standard modern option, which feels exactly as Resident Evil 4 Remake. Generous checkpoints and a fair challenge, which is the option I chose on my first playthrough, and honestly I found this difficulty sometimes a little bit easy but fair nonetheless. Then there's the standard classic, at which point you can kiss your ass goodbye to the checkpoints of the game. In this mode, you'll have to amass those annoying ink ribbons found throughout the game, exactly like in the classic Resident Evil 2. And for the final difficulty and the absolute masochists out there, there's the insanity mode that is gonna unlock only after your first playthrough. I myself will dive into this difficult endeavor because I want to unlock most of the stuff in this game. This difficulty, as far as I can tell, is a real brutal experience, so much so that the enemies one-shot you and remixes the enemy spawns. A true challenge for all the worthy veterans out there. Difficulty rating? 10 out of 10. Why? Because there's something for everyone, whether you're a casual player or a seasoned veteran. Third aspect of the game, graphics and performance. Hear ye, my fellow Vikings. I just have to mention how this game looks and feels while playing it. I played through this game on my PS5, hooked up on my OLED TV, and let me tell you, the true blacks on OLED screen make this game absolutely so much more terrifying. When you're navigating a pitch-black ruined hallway with Grace and your flashlight beam cuts through the dust and the fog, it is next level eye candy. The lighting engine is phenomenal. The way the neon signs from abandoned Raccoon City stores reflect in the puddles of, well, let's call it infected fluid, is truly gorgeous. I've often find myself mindlessly gazing at the level of these graphics. So the game itself, it would seem that is locked on 4K graphics, at least to my knowledge, and 60 frames per second. I probably might be wrong about this, but I didn't experience any stuttering nor frame drops when I played it. Plus, it did feel like 60 frames were active all the time, and the reason I say feel is because the options menu doesn't do a good job enough to definitely tell you what options are available for this game, such as the graphics or performance modes like other games do. But hey, that didn't bother me at all. I played this game to the fullest, like I previously mentioned, with no frame drops nor sections of the game where I felt that the graphics were toned down. Each second was a complete turn on for the eyes in this game. Graphics and performance rating, well, what do you know? Again, a 10 out of 10. Aspect number 4 of the game, sound and music. Oh boy, here we go. I only have to say one thing about the sound and music of this game. Masterfully executed. Bruh. The sound that each gun makes while reloading, while shooting. I don't know about you guys, but for me it was mesmerizing to say the least. The sound when a zombie exploded when injected with Grace's hemolytic injector, or when blasted with Leon's shotgun. Jesus! All I have to say is that I really enjoyed this game's sound in full, and this is me playing on the TV speakers, not even headphones, as this was truly intended. I'll definitely have my second playthrough of this game with headphones. Music is totally something depicted from a movie. The tone is sad and worrisome just to go head to head with the atmosphere in the game. Priceless. Sound and music rating? 10 out of 10. God damn it, somebody stop me. Moving to the fifth aspect of the game. Now let's talk story. Do not worry, I'm keeping this 100% spoiler free. Going back to the ruins of Raccoon City is pure nostalgia, but it's twisted. It's not the city we remember, nature and the virus have completely reclaimed it. The dynamic between Grace and Leon carries the whole narrative. Grace's storyline is deeply psychological. You are constantly piecing together her past and why she's so connected to this nightmare. It feels incredibly grounded and survival focused. Then Leon's campaign kicks in and it's like a blockbuster movie. He's there on a mission, he knows the stakes from the very beginning, and watching his plotline inevitably crash into Grace's is purely a chef's kiss. The pacing of the story reveals kept me glued to my seat for the entire 20-hour run. Now, without spoiling anything, obviously, there were like 2 sections in the game, one that made me say, huh, as Capcom did put something into a scene that was totally uncalled for, and no one, and I mean absolutely no one, could have seen that scene coming, even if it was literally in your face and stared at you even beyond your eyeballs. And one other section that I wanted to talk about, spoiler-free of course, is another gameplay section of which I felt like it had no business being in the game whatsoever. Did it bother me? No, not really. Did I enjoy it? Well, let's just say it provided some jump scares. It was neither of a letdown nor a gem section of the game. The balance tipped exactly in the middle here. I don't know what to make of these 2 sections. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. Story-wise of the game, 9 out of 10. Only because of that one what the fuck moment in a cutscene near the end, and the other gameplay section that I had no idea of what to make of it. Moving on to the 6th aspect of the game, the attention to details. Oh man, where in God's name do I start? I'm so excited talking about this section. Holy shit, like you wouldn't believe it. You guys know I love the little things, so welcome to the premiere of the details section. Capcom went absolutely crazy with the micro details in Requiem. I already mentioned Grace's hands shaking when she aims, but it goes so much deeper than that. When Grace is hiding from the girl, or sneaking past blister heads, her breathing actually syncs up with the controller vibrations. It makes you feel her panic. Then you have Leon. The man is a seasoned veteran and the details show it. His reloads are tactical and completely steady. But my favorite detail, the hatchet. As you use it, you literally see the blood and gore accumulate on the blade, and when it goes dull, the sound design changes. It sounds more like a blunt thud rather than a sharp slice until you whip out that whetstone. Also, walking through the overgrown, decayed streets of Raccoon City, if you brush up against the mutated flora, it actively recoils and releases spores. The environment feels alive and is creepy as hell. One other really cool aspect that I've come across is the fact that when reloading your weapons, Leon tucks his flashlight between his head and shoulder. Don't even get me started on the whole blood splatter thing when dealing with multiple enemies. Fuck me running. Holy shit. If I had to name this game a second title, it would have definitely be There Will Be Blood. I was dumbfounded to see Grace's of all characters in the game, and there aren't that many protagonists in it. When holding your weapon in your hand in first person and trying to reload it, even though the clip was full, she was doing a chamber check like John Wick was doing it in the movies. Holy smokes, my fellow Vikings, it is really these small details added in these games nowadays that truly makes the game stand out. I haven't played through Grace's sections of the game in third person, so I'm looking forward to that as well, and you can bet your sweet ass that I'll be finding a shit ton of more sweet small details in that as well. Details in this game are insanity incarnate. 10 out of 10 rating. Seriously. Did you expect anything less? No, for real. Did you? Fellow Vikings, this game was a 2-in-1. First thing, this was a true love letter to the fans of the franchise, and the second was the atonement of what Capcom did with Resident Evil 6. Not saying that I did not enjoy Resident Evil 6, it was good in all of his quirkiness. Surely not the best in the franchise, but for me, it was okay, I guess. But going by the internet talk, cause yeah, I do my homework, mofos. Resident Evil 6 was a disaster that plunged Capcom into really stumbling on what was the identity of Resident Evil games anymore. But they've managed with this installment into the franchise to go from Capcom to CapGod, in my own opinion at least. Final rating of the game, 9.8. This is a must-play in 2026. If you haven't picked up the game already, I gotta ask, what in God's name is wrong with you? But seriously now, if you still haven't played it, all I can say is that you're missing out, like on a whole lot. As always, gratitude is in order for watching. Always remember to uphold the honor of the samurai, the courage of the Spartans, and the relentlessness of the Vikings. I'll see you, my brave warriors, in the next one. Peace out.